Janine, welcome to the Scholarship GPS podcast. So thrilled to have you here. We had a great conversation offline. I guess it was last week, and I
Yeah.
said I need to bring you on to the podcast because we have a very similar outlook on the world of education, broadly speaking. I probably have a million questions for you, but before we get into that, why don't you just introduce yourself?
Yes, thank you, Dave. I'm Janine, and I'm the founder and CEO of Smarter by One Degree. And I love helping teenagers plan and prepare for their future. There's so much that we can do and help students when we have the time to plan and prepare. And so I love the educational space. I've been an educator for 25 years, and I really specialize with teenagers and helping them earn more than a diploma so that they can find purpose and direction and get excited about their future.
I love that. Why don't you expand on that a little bit? What do you mean by earn more than a diploma?
Yes. So I love when we use strategy in those teenage years in high school where we help students do career exploration. They're able to take different classes in things like criminal justice and psychology and marketing so that they can also explore in the different classes that they take where they're at home, it's risk free. They are not doing like what we did where we went to college and we picked a major and then after taking 2 years of classes we realize this really isn't for me and we're
Mhm.
already in debt or
Yeah.
now we're behind 2 years in a sense. And so I really love for students to outside of the classroom get involved in volunteering and interning because
Hmm.
now they're able to see in action. They're not just learning real life skills, but they're actually getting to see, is this something that I'd want to do? And again, it's in a risk free environment where we're not having to pay for a mortgage or a car payment. You're at home. And so it also prepares students for that interviewing and working
Hmm.
under people without the fear of having to be an expert or walking into an interview and doing like you probably did and I did, where we were like, pick us. I'm so responsible, but you're my first
Right.
job.
Yeah.
Instead, it allows employers to also see that you are involved in your
Hmm.
community. Um, and it also prepares you to do better in those first interviews where it really matters.
Yeah. Yep. Well, I think one of the things that really connected us when we spoke last week was that um, I think we both realized that the student's future and is more than just inside the classroom.
Mhm.
You talked about internships and volunteering. One of the things that I've seen in the years working with students is that I've had a few students work with me, and they've been like top students. 1,500 plus SAT scores, perfect 4.0 GPA, but that was all they had to talk about. And I'm
Mhm.
just going to be honest with people. It's going to be difficult to earn scholarships.
Yep.
People would think that those would be the perfect candidates for scholarships, right? Because
Right.
they have the numbers, but they don't
Yep.
have anything to write about in their essays. And the sad truth is there's thousands of other kids who have those numbers, and they've also done stuff outside the classroom. So,
Yes.
can you
It's
speak to that maybe from, of course, I'm talking the scholarship perspective. That's my main
right.
interest, but talk about
Right.
that from a little bit broader perspective.
Yeah, I love that you say that. So for for me, I've also found just I focus on this demographic and we're finding that now students, it's not setting yourself apart to have the perfect SAT score or
Hmm.
the perfect GPA. We now have enough candidates where everybody has that. So now you have to stand out or you're not going to get in. So I've even talked to medical programs and veterinary programs to where they're saying, yeah, everybody has the perfect SAT, everybody has the GPA. We want to know, have they been volunteering? Have
Hmm.
they been interning? Did they get a part time job, let's say for, medical school? Have you gotten any certifications? What have you done outside the classroom to one, show us that when the going gets tough, in medical school, that you're going to be able to withstand it. But also, there's this element too of not just wanting to stand out from everybody else, but medical school is hard, law school is hard, that type of thing. And so they want students to explore
Hmm.
and know for sure that that's what they want to do
Hmm.
so that they're not 2 years in, like I said, and now they're quitting or they're not going to make it all the way because now they figure out, wait, this isn't exactly what I want to do. They want them to explore while they're in high school so that when they come to college, they have the volunteering, they have the interning or their first job experience, and they're showing, I've gone down those roads to make sure that this is what I want. Then
Hmm.
they're going to stand the test of time and they're going to graduate from medical school.
Yeah, yep. I think that might surprise some listeners that the schools really do care that the students successfully graduate
Yes.
and on time.
Yes.
Those are important numbers for recruiting. And
Yes,
if
you
if
are.
a college has a lot of students dropping out or not graduating or taking 8 years to graduate, that doesn't
Yes.
reflect well on them. And so it's a business decision. It's a business decision who they let into the college. And
That's right.
yeah, setting yourself up as a student to get in and then have success is it's critical for you. Of course, you want it because
Yeah.
it's your goal, but it's critical for the college too.
Yeah, because they're taking a risk too. They have
Yeah, yeah,
so many candidates that
yeah,
they can choose from.
mhm,
They want to make sure that they're choosing the ones that are going to make it all the way through and on
exactly.
time, like you said. And
Yep.
so it does make a difference to show also leadership
Hmm.
opportunities that that you were in a leadership role or that you were in clubs or something to where you were learning leadership qualities and just really building yourself to be able to handle the pressures,
Hmm.
right?
Yeah.
Of not just college, but those higher degrees that they're not for the faint of heart. And so
Right.
I just love it because it really makes a difference in confidence for students as well.
Yeah.
And
Yep.
that's the part that most people don't talk about
Hmm.
is that volunteering and interning, career exploration, it builds the confidence in that teenager that they know that this is what they want. And so when
Hmm.
things do get hard or stressful, they know this is their future. They know that this is their goal. They don't have doubts. They don't have that second guessing. And so it's such a win for students to feel like they know for sure this is what they want.
Yeah, absolutely. Um, well, having this career confidence, when do students start on that? What's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, so I love getting them started even in middle school
Hmm.
with just there's so many fun opportunities now that exist compared to 10 years ago in education. There's so many different ways to explore things in eighth grade, but I love when I can start helping a student no later than ninth grade. That doesn't
Hmm.
mean you're behind later on, but really in order to maximize those years, to
Hmm.
prepare you for a scholarship, to prepare you for success in college, to prepare you with the education you need and that confidence and those opportunities like volunteering and interning. Really, I always say that by ninth grade, if they're not already working with a plan or
Hmm.
strategy, then you're going to have a more difficult time.
Yeah.
And so, not to stress parents out, but just to let them know that the sooner the better because we can strategize more. You're an expert in what you do, same for me. And so when you start working with somebody that this is all they do, I tell people,
Right.
you don't want me fixing your car
Yeah.
or doing your
Yeah.
nails. I don't know all the things that I don't know how to do that.
Yep. Yep.
But when you ask me about how to help a teenager in high school prepare for success after graduation, you've come to want you and myself who this is all we do. And
Yeah.
so it does make a difference with strategy. There's so many opportunities that most parents only find out about a lot later, but through us
Mhm.
we can expand the knowledge of those opportunities.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. I mean, that is one of the, I guess, saddest parts of what I do is I get so many inquiries from people far later in the game than
Mhm.
really I can help them in the way they want to be helped. Now,
Yes.
you can earn scholarships from kindergarten through graduate school. So it's never too late as long as the student's still in school. But I cannot help somebody get $100,000 in scholarships to pay a bill that's due in 3 months. That's just not feasible.
Yes.
And if somebody's telling you that they can help, they are, I'm going to say they're probably lying to you.
They're lying to you.
Yeah.
No, I feel the same way. I think that that is the number one thing. I love that you said the word sad because it's sad to me too, because
Mm.
I love helping families and helping
Yeah. Yeah.
students. And I would say the same thing. I think that um, we all think, well, it's your junior or senior year. A lot of people think it's the senior year that you
Yep.
should start. And
Hmm.
I'm like, wait a second. The senior year is the end, not the beginning. There's only so much you can do by then. You're limited in your opportunities, your
Yeah.
scholarships, and the things that you can be a part of. Where if you're a student that's coming in eighth or ninth grade, and I love that you said even in kindergarten, I didn't even know that. That's so fun.
Yeah.
Um, there's more and more chances, more opportunities that I love. I've helped for the last 15 years helping students online find out about opportunities like NASA has their own program that students can go and be a part of. Same thing with my daughter was interested in criminal justice. And
Hmm.
so I found out that in Washington, D.C., they had a 10-day trip.
Hmm.
Um, that students could go do in their junior or senior year, and they would get to work with the different departments. And for me, I thought, oh my gosh, what an amazing opportunity
Yeah. Yep.
for my daughter to get to see, not only to let her know, am I going down the right path, but to get excited
Hmm.
about her future. I really love tapping into getting kids excited about their future. And a lot of students in those high school years right now are not excited about their future. They're
Yeah.
stressed out.
Yep.
They're unsure. And a lot of them are getting really unmotivated.
Yep.
And so I feel like the more that we connect them with all these opportunities, when you find out these volunteering opportunities, these interning opportunities, then they are focused on their future.
Hmm.
And it's amazing
Yeah.
what you can do if you're doing that already in the high school years.
Yeah, yep. Yeah, I love that you talk about that. And I do have a question, but as you were talking about that, I wanted to throw a little story about my son out there. Um, yes, there are all these great opportunities out there that many people are not aware of, but
Yeah.
sometimes you have to create your own opportunity. My son was interested in history. He cold called our local history museum and said, "Could you use some help?" And they were thrilled. Now they weren't advertising for that position, but
Yes.
he created his own opportunity, and that thing on his resume, that earned him some scholarships, no doubt.
I love it. I
Yeah.
love that you said that because that is kind of how Smarter by One Degree started. I couldn't find the unicorn for my
Mm.
daughter.
Uh-huh.
And so I created it. And so I love that you said that because there are so many opportunities that you just have to ask for.
Yeah.
And
Yep.
so my daughter did the same thing. She asked a lot of things, and there were some no's.
Hmm.
One, that was a great skill to learn because I'm sure you can say, just like me, there are way more no's in life to
That's
get
right.
to this point for
Yeah.
me than there were ever yeses. So
Hmm.
not only was that a great skill to learn, but I'm always amazed at how many yeses there are and things that I never even thought of. So maybe I opened the door and then it became this whole new thing after stepping through that door. And so I agree. There are so many people out there that really want to see this next generation
Hmm.
get plugged in and really become our future, right? Who are
Yeah.
running
Yep.
our offices and, you know, we are as good as the next generation. And so I just love that you said that because I hear about things like that every day where somebody made something happen for themselves.
Hmm.
And what a great skill to learn so the later in life you
Yeah.
can apply that same strategy.
Yep. Absolutely. It's the difference between letting life happen to you and making the direction that you want to go.
Yes. Oh my
Yep.
gosh. We could do a whole podcast on that. That is,
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
I love it. I love it.
Well, I do want to circle back to that question. So, one thing I can hear some people saying is it's too early for an eighth grader or high school
Mm,
freshman to be thinking about their career. And along the same lines, maybe they'll say something like, well, they'll figure it out in their first 2 years of college when they have to take their
mm,
gen ed. What would you say to somebody who's in that mindset?
Yeah, I think what I love to do is I travel the US and I talk about rethinking education
Mhm,
and education reimagined. So when we think back to when we were in elementary, middle school, high school, there is so much that has changed since then in
mhm,
every area of our lives. But
yeah.
in education, we continue to say, do the exact same thing that we did 30 years ago. And then if you even go back further than that, our parents, when they were in school, it's the
Yep.
same way. And so I love to talk to families about rethinking education. We have so much research, we have so much technology and innovation that we're really now kind of talking about educating a student holistically. How
Hmm.
can we educate them with this quality education in the classroom while also educating them outside the classroom and building those life skills as well as
Hmm.
career skills? And so, what I love with career exploration is that we can start giving our students opportunities in middle school and high school to where they're not waiting into their first 2 years of college, where now they're already either going to be behind because if they change their major now
Hmm.
those classes might not go towards
Yep.
the other degree, but it also affects their mental well-being
Hmm.
while they're getting that far to where they're 20, they're already thinking about their bills or responsibilities. It's
Hmm.
very stressful to be at that age and think about changing your major. We all went through it, so you can do it and survive and make
Yeah.
it work.
Yeah.
But I think that we also, as parents and educators, should think, how can we do it better?
Hmm.
What's the best way to do it? And so uh, there are so many opportunities for kids to try out these things nowadays versus, like I said, 5 or 10 years ago, to where it either helps them decide what are their strengths.
Hmm.
If I go and work on a car, I would really feel like I'm not very smart as a student, which is not true at all. That's just not my strengths.
Yeah.
That's not my gift. And so I also love to talk with families that we are helping students with their mental health
Hmm.
by also helping them earlier and earlier, not like the stress of college. I think that's where parents think, well, my kid's only 13. Like you're trying to
Yeah.
make them grow up too early. No, that's not what we're talking about.
Yep. Yep.
We're not talking about that at all. We're talking about clubs. We're talking about volunteering. My daughter is an artist, and so she volunteered in the art class for 4 and 5 year olds.
Mm-hmm.
And she loved it and said, Mom, I had no idea that I was really good at teaching others. And so when she was in college, she was actually helping in the different classrooms, and
Hmm.
the students didn't know she was just helping. They thought she was a professor. And so it's one of those things where when you tap in and you find out what your gifts and your strengths are,
Yeah.
it just helps you throughout those teenage years because they're crazy. If they were crazy decades ago, I can't imagine being a teenager.
Oh, yeah.
Um, yeah.
Mm. Yeah. Yep. Yeah. I'm so glad that social media did not exist when I was a kid.
Yes, right. It adds extra stress on them because they're
Yeah.
comparing
Yep.
themselves. And so I just love surrounding kids with support. And in those different clubs, in those volunteering opportunities, in those interning opportunities, we're supporting our teenagers with people who care,
Hmm.
people who are leading them or mentoring them.
Yep.
We're showing them leadership skills. There's so many positives that can come from those clubs. My gosh, I hear about another club every day of the week that I didn't know of, and they're teaching leadership and they're teaching communication skills and working together on a team. And the more and more employers I talk to each year, they always talk about those soft skills and
Hmm.
those executive functioning skills. And a lot of parents forget about those.
Yep.
And they're saying that we have students graduating with their bachelors or even masters, and they don't know how to work with others. They
Hmm.
don't have time management skills, all
Yep.
of those. And so, again, when we treat a student holistically, we're teaching them all of those things so that they can be successful after graduation.
Yeah. Yep. Love that. So it occurred to me as we started the conversation, we were saying that every kid has a perfect SAT and GPA, and
Yeah.
that's an exaggeration.
Yes, yes.
So
I
I
mean, for
hopefully we
medical
didn't lose
school.
the yeah.
Yes. I mean, for medical school. If they are applying at medical school, that is the case.
Yeah, yep. So hopefully we didn't lose those folks whose kids maybe don't have those perfect scores because the truth is, yes, there are a lot of kids with really high scores, but
Yeah.
most kids probably don't have a 4.0 or a 1600 SAT.
Yeah.
So I'm going to tell a little story, but then I also want to hear from you about,
Yeah.
because I'm sure that most of the students you're working with don't have those perfect scores, but
Correct.
so cohort of current seniors I'm working with right now. I guess it's been 2 weekends ago now. I got an email very early in the morning from a student. I happened to wake up and, like an idiot, I looked at my phone. I know I shouldn't do that if I want to get back to sleep, but I did. And I'm glad I did this time because there was an email from the student that I've been working with for several months, and she informed me that she earned a full tuition scholarship from the college that she wants to go to. And it was a long process. She had to interview for it, and so that was awesome. But the point is that, well, this is a good student. She doesn't have a 4.0. She doesn't have a 1600 SAT. But what she did have, she wants to go into nursing. She volunteered at two different hospitals. She set up a job shadow where she got to watch a medical procedure. She did all these things outside the classroom, and that is what earned her that
Yep.
scholarship. Now,
100%.
sure, she did fine in her classes, and
Yeah.
also she curated her classes too. She took organic chemistry while in college level organic chemistry while in high school. So
That's
yes,
amazing.
there's an academic component to this. You can't just go out and get into college by having an internship and failing your
Yeah.
classes. That's not what we're saying. But it was what she did outside the classroom, and then preparing early, both, that took years to do those internships, but also applying for lots of scholarships before this full tuition opportunity even came up. So
Yep.
it was the early preparation, the directed kind of reverse engineering her path, and then doing the things to
Yeah.
make it happen. So I wanted to throw that out for the listeners, but tell us about working with maybe the less than quote perfect student.
Yeah, yeah. I wanted to say first, I love that you said reverse engineering because
Hmm.
that has been my message for 15 years. When you know your end goal, then we can
Yeah.
work backwards to
Yep.
get you there.
Yep.
And it's like preparing for a race,
Hmm.
right? I don't run. And if I was going to go in a race or a 5K, whatever, I wouldn't want to get up in the morning and run because I don't run right now.
Yeah.
But if I knew that I have this end goal and this is my goal to run in that 5K, then guess what? I'm going to get up when I don't want to, when it's
Yep.
cold in the morning, and I'm going
Hmm.
to prepare and train. And so it's the same thing. So I love that you said that because I haven't heard anybody else say that, but that is my number one thing. If we know the end goal, then we can now prepare and work backwards to create the perfect path to get you there.
Yep.
And so I love that. So I am 100% in agreement. So I work more with the students that are not great test takers,
Hmm.
that are not as and I do work with I work with gifted and talented students, everything, but I always say that I work with the majority. And so the majority, we are not that person.
Hmm.
Obviously, I've been a teacher for 25 years. And let me tell you, I was so stressed out about the test because I am a horrible test taker. And so I love that not only are colleges now looking at other things for the scholarships, but even just seeing that one student that took organic chemistry,
Hmm.
she showed initiative. She
Yeah. Yeah.
showed all of these things add up.
Hmm.
And it's what tells colleges and when you're trying to get these scholarships, obviously the more prestigious college, if there's a 4 to 6% rate of getting in, you do have to have not only the perfect scores, but then all the things that we've been talking about
Yeah.
today
Yep.
as well. But that's not the average student. The
Hmm.
average student is like anybody else. We work hard. We don't have perfect scores. And I love to share with students that we're not at a disadvantage, that we don't have those. Because again, to do the average jobs, when you're talking about nursing, when you're talking about teaching, when you're talking about these things, you don't have to be perfect. You
Yeah.
don't
Yep.
have to go to Harvard in order to be a teacher.
Hmm.
I didn't. And so I really focus on the majority because that's where most of us fall inside.
Yep.
And then for those students that, I have one of my students who wanted to go to law school,
Hmm.
and she went to Cornell Law. She had to do extra things to get in
Hmm.
there
Yeah.
than the average student. But what was nice, because we had the time to plan and
Right.
prepare, she was able to do that. And now she's 21. She already graduated law school, passed the
Wow. Okay.
bar.
Mhm.
And so again, it's just because of planning and
Yep.
really being able to put that focus and attention on what she needed to meet her goal.
Mhm.
Would I tell another student that's not going to Cornell Law and Ivy League law school to do what she did? No, I
Yeah.
wouldn't.
Yeah.
So I think that should take some stress off of both the parents listening as well as the students, because I do think sometimes we overthink things
Hmm.
and we can add stress on our plate when it's not needed. It is much better to be a great student, to put in your hard work, but not to compare yourself to other students that
Yeah.
are doing something else. There's a different path for different students.
Absolutely. Well, this has been awesome. Obviously, we've talked at a high level about all these things that we agree on that are going to help with scholarships and
Yeah.
getting through college on time and just having direction and confidence. So we know kind of what you do, but can you tell us a little bit about how you do it and then how people can get in touch with you?
Yes. So we help high schoolers, ninth through 12th grade. And what we want to do is we have a large audience of homeschoolers.
Hmm.
And so these are students that are wanting an online education. They are, we have students that are just home educated with online curriculum, as well as homeschoolers. And so what our students are looking for is that education throughout high school. So we offer the classes, we offer the planning, so that way students can meet any prerequisites that they need. Everything is mapped out. So what we really love doing is getting kids a quality education with that strategy, to where all of our students take leadership. They
Hmm.
take personal finance, they take entrepreneurship, they take psychology and criminal justice and oh, I said psychology. They take those kind of classes because they really do help students navigate. And
Hmm.
then we also help parents, because for my family, we both were working full time. And so there's more and more families that want an option where they're not doing the lesson planning, the teaching, the grading, that
Right.
type of thing. And so that's what we provide. We provide all of the resources and help for the parents so that it's really easy to homeschool high school. And it's a really neat opportunity, because that is an area that's growing, where a lot of students, for a lot of different reasons, are looking for that online education
Hmm.
opportunity.
Yeah, yep. Yeah, I mean, for lots of students, that is a fantastic path, fantastic option. And I know the homeschool segment is just growing by leaps and bounds. So,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. And really, honestly, I say that the reason why it's growing is because more and more people are realizing that a holistic education is really the best option to
Hmm.
prepare them for after graduation. We, again, having those critical thinking skills and problem solving skills and volunteering gives such great perspective. I know that a
Yeah.
lot of students, for scholarships or to get into, say, medical school, law school, they're like, I have to volunteer all these hours.
Hmm.
But I love educating families that it's not just a have to, it really changes students' perspectives.
Yeah.
It allows them to see in those teenage years where it's kind of a me time in their life. They
Hmm.
start to realize how many people outside of themselves are going through things, and they're able to not only help them, but it shapes that perspective that, you know, everybody's from all different walks of life. And so it helps them to become more grateful in what the opportunities they have,
Hmm.
and to not just take it for granted everything that they're getting, whether it is that amazing scholarship that gets them into the school that they want, that there's other people that will never even have that opportunity
Right.
for a
Yeah.
lot of different reasons. And so I love opening kids' eyes to all of these different factors that let's just say volunteering, and it doesn't just check this box and this box. It really does shape them into who they are as an adult. And so all of those opportunities, I think more and more families are realizing that they can help their students prepare for that future
Hmm.
when they're helping their kids more so than maybe what they traditionally did in a public school or private school. All of them are great options. What I love is to share options,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
each kid in each family needs something different.
Hmm.
What you did with your son is probably different than what I did for my daughter, because
Yeah.
they were two different kids.
Yep.
And so I love that, because it's not that one is better than the other. It's that we all have different needs and we have different students.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah. I just want to throw one other thing about volunteering because that really is a critical piece of the scholarship
Yeah.
puzzle. And any volunteering is better than no volunteering. But I
Yes.
love that you talked about it kind of opens the kids' eyes to, how fortunate they are.
Yeah.
But I also wanted to tie it back to our conversation about, reverse engineering and having a focused approach.
Yeah.
Um, so many students I see have the same volunteer experiences, and you can tell
Mhm.
it is just checking a box.
Yeah.
Um, I love that the student I talked about earlier volunteered at a hospital because she's going into nursing. My son
Mhm.
volunteered at a museum because he was going into history.
Yeah.
Um, I would love to see a kid volunteering for Habitat for Humanity if they're going
Yeah.
into construction or something like
Yes.
that. But if
Yes.
you're going to, I don't know, be a nuclear engineer, that might not even be the best example, but helping to build a house is great. It's great
Mhm.
in and of itself, but the more
Yeah.
targeted and aligned with the students' interests and their future plans, the
Yeah.
more I think they're going to enjoy it, the more they're going to get out of it, and the more impact it's going to have on things like scholarships and admissions to college.
100%. And that's why starting earlier
Yeah.
is just, I cannot say it enough.
Hmm.
The more time that we have, first of all, we open their eyes that they need to volunteer, right?
Yeah. Yep.
And they might not even have that on their radar. But the more time we have, the more time we can personalize it. Like you said,
Yep.
I talk to students that any kind of trade or construction, plumbing, framing, if they can work with Habitat for Humanity, this is where not only are they volunteering and giving back
Hmm.
and opening their eyes that not everybody has a roof
Yeah.
over their head and what we can do for others, but you're surrounding yourself with people who have worked for decades
Yep.
in those jobs, and now they're retired and they're volunteering. And who better to get mentored by than people who have done it forever, that are
Hmm.
experts in that trade? And then that really just, I got goosebumps. It ties back to different audiences. Not only does a student get these relationships and this and advice and mentoring and knowledge from the best, it gives purpose to these retired electricians
Yeah.
and plumbers and framers and you name it, because they find value in pouring into the next generation.
Hmm.
And so I really am big about that. I feel like there's so many things like that where it doesn't just help the student, it doesn't just help the retired person that is giving back and giving of their time and energy and talent. we're really benefiting so many people, besides the person that even benefits from, say,
Right.
what Habitat for
Yeah.
Humanity is doing it. And so,
Yeah.
what a rewarding cycle when you start looking at it from all these perspectives.
Hmm.
And so, I love that you said that. I work to help students in that exact same way. If you're going to volunteer, what are you going to do? There's a difference with where you're doing it. Like
Yep.
you said, anywhere is great, but because my daughter was an artist, she did probably 50 different volunteering opportunities with every kind of audience, because that's our passion and I love that. But the one that made the difference for her for art, which she does full time right now,
Mhm.
was teaching art to others. And
Yeah.
so, once again, just like your son and the
Mhm.
other student, it was the one that was helping her for what she wants to do for a living that made this impact on her, and really, I think, made her confident that she was going down the right road as well.
Yeah. Yep. Yep. And well, and that's a great place. We'll kind of end on that. And I just the flip side of it is I was thinking about the kid who goes and volunteers for Habitat, thinking that they want to go into construction, and then they're out there and they realize, I hate this. This is
Yes.
terrible.
Yes.
That's a win.
These people work outside, and
Yeah. Yeah.
I live in
Yep.
Phoenix. This isn't
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That, finding out you don't like something or that it's not the right thing for you, that's a win because you want to
that
find
is a
out when you're a
win.
teenager, not when you're in your 20s and 30s, right?
Again, when it's risk free to
Yeah.
find
Yep.
out and to give you that purpose and direction. And I love that you said that, because it really is. A lot of people don't realize that that's just as
Yeah.
valuable
Yep.
in this journey throughout high school than finding what you do want, is to narrow it down of it just makes you more confident again with what you do go into. So when my daughter decided on art, she was thinking maybe criminal justice, psychology. She did different things, and she knows that she wants to do full-time art.
Hmm.
Well, that's amazing, because she learned amazing things about criminal justice and
Sure.
psychology,
Yeah.
but she is more confident in her decision
Hmm.
for art because she tried those,
Yeah.
and she went down that path when it was risk free. So I just love the opportunities that kids can have when they're working with an expert, right?
Hmm.
We hear so many voices as parents. We're going through every Facebook group, we're reading every
Yeah.
blog to try to help our kids. And I really will just say that it really matters to have somebody that is an expert in this area,
Hmm.
that this is all you do. I love that you help with scholarships. That is something I never even got to figure out for my daughter. I was like,
Mm.
that's it. I can't do. It's a whole beast, right?
Yeah.
And
Yep.
and there's strategy. And I know everybody says, well, I did it myself. Well, you know what? There are a lot of people that did things themselves, but it is not for the majority. And again, I always
Right.
talk to the majority. If you want to help your kids, and you want a scholarship, they need to contact you, so that they cannot waste their time missing out on opportunities because they're trying to figure it all out.
Yeah. Yep. Well, thank you for that. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Well, for people who want to get in touch with you, how do they do that?
Yes. So you can find us at smarterbyone-degree.com. We're also on Facebook and Instagram and all the things. But we offer free consultations because we want you to come with your questions and ask, and we want to see if we're a good fit for you. Um, and we also want to let you know if you're not a good fit, and because again, that's a win.
Yep.
But we love helping parents homeschool high school. It is a scary
Mhm.
a scary thing to take on your kids' education. And so we do all the heavy lifting so that you can have fun with your teenager and really have that time.
That's awesome. Janine, thank you so much for coming on the show. I know I'm going to have you back because we just have so much to talk about, but this has been great and look forward to having you again.
Yes, thank you so much, Dave.
Thanks.